Nigeria, known as Africa's largest oil producer, has long relied on exporting crude oil and then buying back the refined products. For decades, crude oil left the country, got processed in places like Europe, and then returned as fuel. This back and forth trade cost the country about $17 billion annually. Then, 2 months ago, something big happened. The Dangote Refinery, a state-of-the-art facility built at a cost of $20.5 billion, finally started producing gasoline. Although it was officially launched in January 2024, but only began producing gasoline in September, with full operation expected very soon. This massive plant can process up to 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day, much more than any refinery in Europe. What makes this even more interesting is that the refinery is buying crude oil and selling refined fuels in Nigerians' local currency. This means Nigeria saves on foreign exchange like the US dollars, which are higher in demand. Because of this, Nigeria is now producing enough gasoline to start exporting. Experts say that Nigeria might soon stop importing gasoline from Europe entirely, which has been a tradition for decades. So, in simple terms, the extra gasoline from the Dangote Refinery is beginning to change the balance of fuel market between Africa and Europe.
The 650,000 barrels per day that we've done is the largest single train, not only in Africa, in the world. And we just want to make a point, and which we have now achieved.
However, not everyone is happy about this. Aliko Dangote, the owner of the refinery and Africa's second richest man, warned that his project has put him in an unsafe position with what he calls the oil mafia. This isn't a literal gang, but rather a network of powerful, long-established players in Nigeria's oil industry who have been involved in secretive deals for years. They worry that the new refinery will disrupt their business.
The mafia in oil, they are stronger than mafia in drugs.
Just to repeat that, mafia and oil are stronger than the mafia and drugs.
I can tell you.
Is that a fact?
Yes, it's a fact.
Did you know the mafia and oil existed before you got into this?
I know that, yes, they existed, but not as strong as the way that I've faced them. They're very strong.
Is this a global mafia? Is it
both?
Is it local mafia?
There's a local one, there's a global one, so it's all mixed up. All mixed up.
It's a mix, and then did they try and sabotage you in any
They tried all sorts, but like what I told you in our interview, I told you that I'm a person that I've been fighting all my life, so I think it's part of my life to fight.
And you've won this fight, clearly. Have you won this fight? Is it over?
I think eventually we won. We'll end up winning. You know why? Because the population and the government will be on our side. Because what we are doing is right.
There's one thing that I get concerned about when I hear things like the oil mafia or the international traders or whatever may be trying to interfere with Africa industrializing. It's not just with your oil refinery. It's a lot of other industries that get pushback there. And I ask this question, I think you're the best person to ask. Does the world that is benefiting from quality raw commodities want the continent to truly industrialize, where you move industrialization into Africa? And how much pushback have you really seen on this path and journey?
Well, there's quite a pushback. First of all, you have heard what Jeffrey Sachs said. What he said, is that I don't believe if the West want us to progress in terms of industrialization. Industrialization is something that is the basic that we need. We need to produce what we consume.
Yeah.
But I don't think if there's any support coming from the West. As a matter of fact, during the COVID period, some of the international banks really were looking forward to making sure that they push us into default of our loans so that the project will just be dead. And that didn't happen with the help of banks like Afrexim Bank.
For many years, Nigerian State Oil Company (Nnpc) managed the flow of crude oil and refined products with little transparency. Crude oil was sent abroad to be refined and then returned as products like gasoline, a process known as oil swaps. Only recently did Nnpc started revealing its accounts, and this secrecy has long kept the true nature of these deals hidden. But there is more to the story. Nigeria's domestic fuel prices have also changed. In the past, the government subsidized fuel prices to keep them low. However, President Tinubu ended these subsidies in 2023 because they were costing the country a lot of money, about $10 billion each and every year. Now, while fuel in Nigeria still costs much less than places like Ghana and the United States, locals are paying about $2.30 per gallon, 3 times more than they did a couple of years ago. There is also a challenge. Nigeria's famous Bonny Light crude is known for its higher quality gasoline yield. Yet, problems like oil theft have dominated the country's pipeline for years. These issues means that even though the Dangote Refinery is ready to process massive amount of crude oil, Nigerian State Oil Company is struggling to supply enough crude to keep up with the refinery's capacity. At the same time, many big international oil companies have started pulling out of Nigeria. Since 2018, Nigeria's oil production have dropped from 2.1 million barrels per day to only 1.3 million barrels per day. The combination of these supply challenges and long-standing infrastructure problems shows that while the Dangote Refinery is a groundbreaking step, there is still a lot to fix in Nigeria's oil sector. But still, the Dangote Refinery has the potential to transform Nigeria by reducing fuel imports, saving foreign exchange, and boosting local production. And that is all for today's episode. Please let us know your thoughts and suggestions on this in the comment section below. My name is Sheriff Haruna. Have a joyful life and see you in our next video. Macrao.